Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. I know it's been a while. It's actually been a couple of months. I've been working my absolute off. Nonetheless, we're back. In future, I think we're gonna have a little bit more. Let's call it agriculture-related projects. A opportunity came by that I couldn't let go. So this is the first project we'll do. As you saw on the little thumbnail, we are building some corral panels for sheep. I've got an opportunity to start farming sheep, and I'm going to take I'm going to take the opportunity very serious. So first of all, we need to build some corral panels so that we can sort of have a crush/squeeze chute to handle them in. Come on. So what we've got here is a 25 by 25, 1 inch by 1 inch square tubing. Shell thickness is 2 millimeters. What's that? Can't remember now. Probably about 3/16. Can't remember. But any case, what we need to do is we need to cut them to a length of 925 millimeters, which is just a smidge short. Like some guys on the internet used to call it a blonde one short of 36 inches. There's the layout, what we need to do. So let's get cracking. This is going to be a fair amount of repetitive work, so I will, what do you call it? Yes, I haven't made videos in so long. I'll time lapse it, and let's get cracking on it. Okay, so first of all, we're just getting everything marked out and cut. A lot of repetitive work because it's a lot of the same sizes, same thing over and over. But nonetheless, let's get cracking on it. Just using my small little 4-inch grinder. You'd be surprised if you mark it out with a scribe out close to the line you can cut if you just put in a little bit of effort. Okay, so I use these third slimline discs. They are a bit more expensive, but they last a lot longer, and I don't know if you listen to the grinder, it's actually not working hard, so I tend to go with them. Decent stuff to work with if you're ever looking for a decent 4-inch grinder disc. Third's the choice. Alright, gentlemen, just a little tool tip. When you're marking out multiples in this fashion, do not measure your first, let's say for this one, for instance, in this instance, it's 40 mil, 150, 150, 150, 200, 200. So each time you do a section, so measure the 40 and the 40 and the 40 and the 40, and then when you get to the next 150, don't measure the 150 from the 40. Measure it. 40 plus 150 is 190, and each time you do this, the next one, measure right from the edge there. What happens is there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections on you. If you are 1 millimeter out on each, by the time you get to the end of it, you are pretty much 1/4 of an inch out. And that's if you only make a 1 millimeter mistake in each direction. So always measure from the start, add it up, get to the new one, and you know you won't be doing the compounding mistake on it. I think that's the best way to call it. You won't compound the mistake. So always just check it, measure from one end, and gun it through. Otherwise, you're going to run into trouble. Once again, like I said, very repetitive, monotonous. I wouldn't say monotonous if you're not liking it. I don't mind this work, but a lot of the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And then we're up to the drill press, just making sure we're drilling everything square, well as square as we can, using a small little angle finder. Gentlemen, and there we have the first one done. I don't think I'm going to bore you with the rest. Let me get gunning on it. 4 of these are going to be the center portion, so they'll be drilled right through. The rest is going to be just on the one side. I'll get you when we're done here. Gentlemen, 96 holes later, and we are basically done. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to ream them out with the die grinder and a carbide burr. Because it's a 19 on a 19 and the tube's actually a bit larger than 19, so I'll just ream them out quickly and then we can start welding it together. Okay, gentlemen, I've marked them up at 1960 millimeters, so 1.96 meters. Gives me 2022 for the 20 millimeters of the square tube to go in, so the pipe will be fitting 5 millimeters into the hole. That's the idea. We'll see if it works. If it's not right up to the number, I'm not that worried. We'll make something work. Okay, sorry about the air tools in the background. My neighbor seems to be working as well. Okay, so let me show you quickly what happened. Is the tubing was sold to me as 19 mil OD. It's actually more than 19 mil. It's 19 mil nominal bore. Problem, that was a mistake on my side. Always measure before you start. So I initially drilled the holes with a 19 mil hole saw. Made a big mess of it because then the tubing didn't fit, so I had to re-drill it. So what I had to do was I had to get one of these, I don't know if you guys can see there, carbide cutters, take out the pilot, etc, etc. It was an absolute mess. So this thing doesn't really fit together like I wanted to, but nonetheless, lessons learned. Before we carry on, let's start up the welder. Okay, I don't know how much you can hear above the buzz box. I sort of lined it up with the table as good as I could. I'm just going to give it a small tack, couple of small tacks. We might still have to beat this thing into submission, so let's see what we can do. Done a little, got a couple of welds. I'm going to quickly hit the dross off them and see what happens. It actually works like a charm. I don't think I'll use it on pipe though. It does mar the surface a little bit here and there, but for what I want to do, this is absolutely 100%. I am going to turn this thing around and let's get the other side lined up as well. Okay, so see, maybe I can zoom you in here a bit. So it definitely takes off the welding flux and scale and stuff off like a charm. If you've got a lot of welding, I definitely recommend this. This little needle scaler works like a charm. I'll be putting it through its paces and maybe give you an update in a couple of months time or something once I've had time to really use it. But in the meantime, let's get cracking. Okay, gents, so quick little tip here. If you want to see if something's square, and let's call it you know that you've got the same length on the top ends, and you know that you've got the same length on the other edge, from top and bottom, so that you know you're not sitting with a trapezoid. Trapezoid. So you know you're not a trapezoid, but you don't know if it's square. Just measure from the one corner to the other corner, and if it's square, it should be the same or very close to. So for instance, this one is 218, let's call it 2184, and from the other side, you see this thing is definitely not in square, so we need to beat it up a bit. Got the other end closer, so let's get cracking. Oh, this tubing is so soft I don't even have to get the hammer out. I think I've actually gone too far now. 2155. Yeah, 2185. Are they in the middle somewhere? 2175, 2175. I think this is about as close as I'm going to get it. I'm going to tack it, and then you can always hammer it a bit afterwards. Oh, on the money, on the money. Right, now we can... Okay, next up we're just spacing the center spacer bar, making sure we've got everything in the middle. Now that everything squared actually moves okay, making sure everything's lined up, and then we can tack it on as well. You'll see me wrap the welding lead around my arm. It just makes it much easier and takes a lot of effort and stress out of keeping it in the air. And the moment you get to that point there, it starts hooking onto whatever you're working on, and then it becomes a hassle. So keep that in mind. Maybe next time wrap it around your arm like that, and it really makes it a lot easier. Okay, gents, so we've welded all 4 panels together semi on the flat edges, so now it's just the roundings that I need to pick up, and I'll time lapse this because I think this is going to take a bit. Once again, I did this outside, just a bit easier than working inside the shop. I've got a small little shop, so it's it becomes crowded very quickly. Okay, gentlemen, I have made a boatload. Well, there's actually 17 of them. I had one test run and the rest. Just these little tabs, drilled a 10.5mm hole in them. It's 25 by 5 flat bar that I'm just going to weld onto the sides of the panels. So what in essence will happen, you'll have these tabs sitting on this wall basically like that, and you just drop a piece of round bar through it. So I've got the measurements that they are actually offset, where the next panel will sit 50mm lower, and then the arch will sit right in the middle. So you will have a 25 gap between the 3 panels. That I think we'll be able to wiggle it in. Let's see what we can do. And once again, a lot of repetitive work, but nonetheless, bit of a battle on some of the welds, but nonetheless the rest came out fairly good in just turning them around. So in essence you'll be turning them around 4 times, unless you'll be lying on your stomach welding. Alright gentlemen, next step is we will be building the little arch frame that just holds the spacing between the panels. Once again using 25 by 25 square tube. I got this little, what do you call it, dry cut saw, tungsten carbide metal cutting saw. Not a bad saw, but I made a hash of the first blade where I did not have everything clamped together. So just a little tip, if you've got one, make sure you've got it clamped together, otherwise you'll see the sparks starting to come out of there. That's where the tungsten actually came off when the piece of metal shattered. And there you can see it cuts very nice. Must say it's very quick, very clean, but you have to look after the blade. Next step will be the bottom rail of the little archway. 25 by 5 flat bar, that'll be on the floor, and just drilling holes in the outer edges. For in case we need to hammer it to the ground, you can peg, so take a hammer and peg it down into the ground with a piece of rebar or something. I think it's a 10.5 hole that I finally drilled there. First a pilot hole and then the bigger one. There we go. Yeah, that's either 10.5 or 12. Can't remember entirely, but nonetheless, there we go. Okay, this portion of the video we'll be doing the little tabs that go onto the arch frame, counting out everyone They are, I think, about 35 millimeters long. Once again, 25 by 20, 25 by 5 flat bar, and just cut them off there. As you can see, I'm starting to get some sparks in there, and as we go along, the blade's just disintegrating. Should have looked after it much better. My fault, not the machine's fault. I can still not fault the machine. Now we'll be pilot drilling all of them. That is a 1/4 inch drill bit, nice little stubby one. And as you can see, the drill vise is not fixed hard in terms of lineup, so it actually can wander a little bit into well, jobs like this I'll let it wander into the little punch hole, so you don't have issues on getting it exactly right and wasting time. So it just drifts into the hole, as you can see, and it just makes it a lot faster. So yeah, sometimes I do loosen the cross slide vise a little bit. Then we are just lining everything up and mocking everything up once again. Just tag weld, get everything ready. That's the bottom section, and there's a top section, so the little archway on top. Just cut in, well, use 22.5 degree angles. Make sure that I've got everything on there, making sure that everything's spaced correctly, and then we tack the last one in, turn it around, start welding on. Right, gentlemen, next up is the little sliding head gate. I did exactly what I did with the corral panels. I just drilled the hole this time around. I just drilled the right size hole at the right place, so it went much easier. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack it up, get it square, and then we'll weld it together. Okay, once again, just getting everything square, using the table as a sort of a long square. It does help a lot to get that into place, and but once again, make sure you cross measure and get everything nice and square. This is basically the head gate. Well, it's not a head gate, it won't be a catch gate. Just prevents the sheep from running out to the end, and it'll have a little rail at the top on which it runs. I don't want to put any wheels and rails and stuff at the bottom. As the animals go through the race, you tend to get muck and sand and manure and stuff into the rail if it's at the bottom, so the gate will be hanging from the top and just have a little guide at the bottom keeping it in place. Once again, stuff like this, it's actually a lot more welding than you would anticipate. I always misjudge the amount of weld that I need to put on stuff like this. Once again, the little needle scaler, wonderful little tool. And now the other end. This side welded much easier due to the fact that the holes were the correct size, so it went a lot quicker as well. You can grind off all the welds on the tube if you need to. This one, there was some cleanup on this. I think it was just off camera. Okay, and next up we will be doing the gate frame. So in essence we'll be building two of these frames. They are 510 by I think 12750 high. I think you'll get the picture once we get it together. So I'm going to tack weld this, get it squared up, and once we start putting this thing together, I think I'll get you back here. Okay, so that was a little bit of a bad description. So there'll be two rails, the width of the archway, the width of the little race, and the gate will slide in between the two rails. I designed the gate that it's basically ambidextrous. You can use it on all sides and flip it around. Once again, thin wall tube is an absolute nightmare to weld. So you'll see me get out of the weld every so often. The moment I see it getting hot, I get out of there, let it cool down, move to another portion, and then get back to it later on when it's cooled down a bit. Just prevents you from blowing through everything on it. Okay gentlemen, so I've cut sections of 25 by 5 flat bar that I'm just going to weld on like this, and then the next one's going to sit like on the other end, and then the gate's going to slide in between. Well, that's the plan. Let's see if we can make it work. Once again, tack up first, and then we'll take it from there. There we go. And on this side I pre-measured them that everything's sort of off the ground. I don't want anything sticking, well, I want the least amount of stuff sticking into the ground and getting dust and manure and stuff in there. There you can see there's the second one getting into place now. Once again, just tacking everything up, and then the gate will slide in between those two rails. Making sure that we've got weld sort of everywhere. Using 60-13 rods, not the greatest rod in the world, but they are cheap and they weld in any direction, and this is a non-structural item, so I'm not that worried about it. The other thing is, in South Africa you battle to get anything else than a 60-13. Once again, you'll always see my welding as I'm propping up my arm against something. Guys, if you're starting out welding, or if you're trying to hang in the air and weld something, it's not going to work. Prop up somewhere and make sure you've got a steady hand on it. There I'm doing the rail on which the actual gate rail will hang. Okay gents, so next up we'll just make the handles for the little gate. I've got two sections of 25 diameter tube that I'm just going to weld a handle on. The handle will sit at a 45 angle on both sides of the gate so that we can actually get to them. So I'm just going to tack them together and weld them up and see what we can get to. This is going to be a straightforward one. I'm not clamping anything on there, although at the end of the day I should have, because it came out a little bit skew, but nonetheless. So tacked it up, make sure that I've got everything on, and then I'm just welding and just running around. I'll be sanding off all the excess on the rounds in any case. Just placing it flat on the table to make sure that we've got the handle on all sides. Guys, these small parts, they become hot very quickly. So alternate between the two, let them cool down, whatever they need to be. Now that we've got the rail, there on the left hand side of the screen you can actually see the rails already installed, just with some tech screws on there, bolted into the top end. And now we're just putting on the little tabs where it will connect to the little race panels. Once again, the spacing is of such a nature that the panels will be either side, all sides, it doesn't matter. They'll be fitting together in which way you need. That's why I'm putting the tabs on both ends, so that if we need to turn it around and have the gate working from the other end, or maybe in a later stage move the gate to the back end, or whatever the case may be, we can just do that. It's not in the way at all. Okay, next up now we've got the actual gate, and we're just welding the handles on, tack them up. Although I should have paid a little bit more attention, that didn't come out completely square, something that's going to bother me till the end of time. But nonetheless, it's done now. I'm not going to grind it off and do it over again. There you can actually see how skew it is. Next up is a spray job. A boatload of overspray. I can't seem to get the spray gun to spray in a tight pattern. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below. What am I doing wrong, or is it just my cheap spray gun that I can't get right? I wasted a shitload of paint on this project, but nonetheless at the end of the day it came out good, and it looked good. I just used a lot of paint with that I put a lot of paint in the air that I shouldn't have. And I'm going to, we set it up on the farm, got the little sheep out of the enclosure where they sleep at night. Once again, as you can see, we're just moving. They're not used to it, so we're just moving them around, making sure that we don't chase them too much. Get one to be a leader and walk out, and one actually there came passed by. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. They'll learn how to use this. This is the first time that they've gone into the crush, so it was a bit of a up and down, not entirely smooth, but as they go through it every morning, they will learn to use it and get used to it. Worked like a charm nonetheless. I expected a lot worse for the first time. Got everyone vaccinated, got all 10 of them done, and worked like a charm. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and stay safe.